If you have ever walked into a hardware store and grabbed a fitting off the shelf thinking it was perfectly fine to use, you might want to think again. Some of the most common fittings plumbers relied on for decades are now banned, restricted, or flat out rejected by modern building codes. With over 25 years in the trade, I have seen firsthand what happens when these outdated fittings fail, and it is never pretty. Today, I am walking you through 10 fittings that plumbers are no longer allowed to use and exactly what you should be using instead. Number 8 on this list is one that is probably sitting under your sink right now, and stick around for the bonus tip at the end because it could save you from a disaster hiding behind your walls. The first fitting on the list is lead solder joints on copper, and this one changed the entire plumbing industry. For decades, plumbers sweated copper joints using 50/50 lead and tin solder. It was easy to work with, flowed beautifully into the joint, and created a strong seal. The problem is that lead is a neurotoxin, and it was leaching directly into the drinking water supply every single time water passed through those joints. In 1986, the Safe Drinking Water Act amendments officially banned the use of lead solder on any potable water system in the United States. Before that, nobody gave it a second thought. You would light your torch, apply flux, and run that lead solder around the fitting like it was nothing. What we now know is that even tiny amounts of lead in drinking water can cause developmental problems in children and serious health issues in adults. The fix is straightforward. Today you must use lead-free solder, which is typically 95% tin combined with either antimony or a small percentage of silver. Silver-bearing solder costs a bit more, but it flows well and creates a reliable joint. If you are doing any copper work in your home, check the label on your solder. It must say lead-free. If you have an old roll of solder in your toolbox that does not say that, throw it away. It is not worth the risk. The second fitting that got plumbers into serious trouble is galvanized steel threaded fittings for potable water lines. If your home was built before the 1970s, there is a very good chance your water supply lines are galvanized steel. At the time, it was the standard. The pipes were strong, affordable, and easy to thread and assemble. But here is what nobody accounted for. The zinc coating on the inside of those pipes breaks down over time. Once it does, the bare steel underneath starts corroding. Rust builds up layer after layer, slowly choking off your water flow. Even worse, the threaded joints themselves can harbor lead, especially if lead-based pipe dope was used during installation. Many homeowners notice the symptoms before they understand the cause. Low water pressure, rusty brown water when you first turn on a faucet, and pinhole leaks that seem to appear out of nowhere. Most modern codes no longer allow galvanized steel for new potable water installations. The approved alternatives are copper, PEX, rhymes with flex, or CPVC, depending on your local jurisdiction. If you are tying into existing galvanized, you need to use a dielectric union or an approved transition fitting to prevent galvanic corrosion where two different metals meet. Never just thread copper directly onto galvanized. That is a recipe for accelerated failure at the joint. The third fitting on this list is standard compression fittings used on concealed or buried lines. And this is one that catches a lot of DIYers off guard. Compression fittings are perfectly legal and functional in accessible locations. Under a sink, behind an access panel, anywhere you can get to them if something goes wrong. The problem starts when people use them inside walls, under slabs, or in any location where you cannot see or reach the fitting after the work is closed up. Compression fittings work by tightening a nut that presses a brass or nylon ferrule onto the pipe. It creates a mechanical seal, but it is not a permanent one. Over time, thermal expansion and contraction, vibration from water hammer, and even subtle ground movement can cause these fittings to loosen just enough to weep. A tiny drip inside a wall or under a foundation can go undetected for months, causing mold, rot, and structural damage before you ever notice a thing. Most plumbing codes explicitly prohibit compression fittings in concealed spaces. Instead, use soldered copper joints, PEX crimp or expansion fittings, or press fittings. All of these create permanent connections that do not rely on mechanical tension alone. If you cannot access it later, do not use a compression fitting. It is that simple. Now, if this kind of practical plumbing knowledge is something you want more of, I have written a guide called 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes that will save you $10,000. It is packed with repairs you can do yourself this weekend without calling a plumber. Scan the QR code right now or check the first link below. All right, let us continue. The fourth fitting is polybutylene, polybutylene push fittings and pipe. And this one is responsible for billions of dollars in property damage across the country. Between 1978 and 1995, polybutylene piping was installed in an estimated 6 to 10 million homes in the United States. It was marketed as the pipe of the future, cheap, flexible, and easy to install. The reality turned out to be a nightmare. The chlorine and other oxidants commonly found in municipal water supplies slowly degraded the plastic from the inside out. Microfractures would develop in the pipe walls and at the fittings, invisible to the naked eye, until one day the system would simply let go. We are talking full-blown flooding with no warning. The resulting class action lawsuits were among the largest in construction history. Polybutylene is no longer manufactured, and no modern plumbing code allows it for new installations. If your home has gray, blue, or black flexible plastic pipe with copper or plastic crimp rings, especially with the marking PB2110 stamped on it, that is polybutylene. The approved replacement is PEX tubing with either crimp or expansion fittings or copper. If you find polybutylene in your home, I would strongly recommend budgeting for a full repipe. Insurance companies are increasingly refusing to cover homes that still have it. The fifth fitting worth knowing about is cast iron single band, no hub couplings. Cast iron drain pipe is excellent material. It is quiet, durable, and fire resistant. The issue is not with the pipe itself, but with how the joints were sometimes connected. No hub couplings use a neoprene rubber sleeve secured by stainless steel band clamps to join sections of cast iron pipe. The problem is that early versions and cheaper models used only a single band clamp. One band simply does not provide enough uniform compression around the entire joint. Over time, especially on vertical stacks and underground runs, the pipe can shift, the seal loosens, and you get sewer gas leaks or actual sewage seepage. Most codes now require shielded no-hub couplings, sometimes called heavy-duty couplings. These feature a corrugated stainless steel shield around the rubber sleeve with multiple band clamps that distribute pressure evenly. The difference in cost between a single band coupling and a proper shielded coupling is only a few dollars, but the difference in reliability is enormous. If you are doing any cast iron repair work, always use the heavy-duty shielded version. Inspectors will flag the single band type, and more importantly, it will actually hold up. The sixth fitting that causes problems is solvent-welded ABS, IBS, to PVC direct joints. This one seems innocent enough. You have a black ABS drain pipe meeting a white PVC drain pipe, and you figure a little cement will hold them together. The problem is that ABS cement and PVC cement are chemically different formulations. ABS cement is designed to melt and fuse ABS plastic. PVC cement is designed to melt and fuse PVC plastic. When you try to glue one to the other using either product, you get what looks like a solid joint, but is actually a weak bond that will eventually separate. Some people try using an all-purpose or transition cement. And while a few of these products do exist and carry approval in some jurisdictions, Many areas outright prohibit any solvent-welded ABS to PVC connection. The universally accepted solution is to use a mechanical transition coupling. Products like Fernco or Mission couplings use a thick rubber sleeve with stainless steel band clamps on each end. They create a watertight, code-compliant joint without relying on any chemical bond between incompatible plastics. It takes 30 seconds to install, and it will never be the joint that fails. The seventh fitting on the list is saddle tee fittings on drain lines, and this one has been a code violation waiting to happen for years. A saddle tee is a fitting that clamps onto the outside of an existing drain pipe and allows you to drill a hole and tap into the line without cutting the pipe apart. They were popular because they were quick and easy, especially for adding a new drain connection to an existing system. The problem is that saddle tees create a sharp, abrupt entry point into the drain line. Waste and water hitting that sharp edge creates turbulence, and debris catches on the rough opening. Over time, this leads to chronic clogs, biofilm buildup, and sometimes complete blockages that are extremely difficult to clear with a snake or auger. Virtually every modern plumbing code prohibits saddle tee fittings on drain waste and vent systems. The correct approach is to cut the existing pipe and install a proper sanitary tee or a Y fitting with the appropriate sweep angle for the application. Yes, it takes more work. You have to cut the pipe, possibly support it, and glue or couple in the new fitting. But the result is a smooth, code-compliant connection that drains properly and does not create a chronic clog point. The eighth fitting is brass compression valves with plastic stems. And I mentioned this one in the hook because there is a very good chance you have one of these right now. For about 2 decades, the most common shutoff valves installed under sinks and behind toilets were multi-turn gate or globe-style valves with a brass body but a plastic stem inside. They were cheap and they worked fine for the first few years. The failure point is always the same. That plastic stem becomes brittle from constant contact with hot water and minerals. When you go to turn the valve, which might be after 5 or 10 years of never touching it, the stem snaps clean off. Now, instead of shutting off the water, you have created an open geyser under your sink with no way to stop it short of running to the main shutoff. I have personally responded to flooding calls caused by exactly this scenario more times than I can count. The solution is simple and inexpensive. Replace every multi-turn valve in your home with a quarter-turn brass ball valve. These valves use a solid brass ball with a full port opening. 1/4 turn of the handle goes from fully open to fully closed. No plastic stems, no multi-turn mechanisms, no brittle parts. A good quarter-turn ball valve costs around $8 to $12 and takes about 15 minutes to swap in. Do every valve in your house on a Saturday afternoon, and you will sleep better knowing they will actually work when you need them. The ninth fitting that should never be in your home is the flexible accordion-style drain trap. You have probably seen these. They are the white or gray corrugated plastic tubes that stretch and bend to connect a sink tailpiece to the drain stub in the wall. They are sold in every hardware store, usually right next to the proper trap parts, and people buy them because they look like they will make the connection easier. They do make the connection easier, and that is the only good thing about them. The ribbed interior of an accordion trap is a magnet for grease, soap scum, hair, and food particles. Every single ridge acts as a little shelf that catches debris. Within months, you get a buildup that restricts flow and creates a foul odor. Bacteria thrives in those ridges, and no amount of drain cleaner will get them truly clean. Most plumbing codes explicitly prohibit corrugated or flexible drain traps. The approved replacement is a standard smooth wall PVC or ABS-P trap assembly. These come in 1 1/4 inch and 1 1/2 inch sizes and include a trap arm and a scutcheon. They are easy to cut and assemble, and the smooth interior lets waste and water flow freely without catching on anything. If you have an accordion trap under any sink in your house, do yourself a favor and replace it this weekend. It is a 15-minute job that eliminates a chronic source of clogs and odor. The 10th and final fitting on the list is CPVC fittings in certain residential applications. And this one is more nuanced than the others because CPVC is not universally banned. It is still allowed in many jurisdictions. However, a growing number of areas have restricted or prohibited its use in residential water supply systems. And there are good reasons for that trend. CPVC becomes brittle over time, especially when exposed to UV light, high heat, or certain chemicals commonly found in homes. Attic installations are particularly problematic because temperature swings accelerate the degradation. Fittings near water heaters can become so brittle that simply bumping the pipe with your hand can cause a crack. Several major insurance carriers have flagged CPVC as a risk factor, and some builders have moved away from it entirely in favor of PEX. PEX is flexible, freeze-resistant, and does not become brittle with age. In high-heat areas near water heaters, copper remains the gold standard. If your home has CPVC and you notice any yellowing, surface cracking, or brittleness when you gently squeeze the pipe, it is time to start planning a replacement. Pay particular attention to fittings and elbows, as those are the most common failure points. All right, here's the bonus tip that pros actually use. And this one can save you from a hidden disaster. After you replace any outdated fitting or do any repair on your plumbing system, do not just turn the water back on and walk away. Grab a few paper towels or sheets of toilet paper and press them firmly against every joint you worked on. Then wait. Check them again in 10 minutes, then 30 minutes, then a few hours later. A paper towel will reveal a weep so small you would never see it with your eyes or feel it with your fingers. Water has incredible patience. A drip that happens once every few minutes does not look like much on a Tuesday afternoon, but over 6 months inside a wall or under a cabinet, it can cause thousands of dollars in damage. The pros do not just eyeball it and move on, they verify. A dry paper towel after a few hours is the only confirmation that actually matters. Make this a habit on every single job, no matter how small, and you will catch problems before they ever become emergencies. That wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching.